You got your key? You sure? Oh. You in annex? Yes, sir. Yes, the rates are $15 a day, $90 a week, and $300 a month.
When they show people these little rooms, they look up there and see that chicken wire, like they be like, oh, what? You know, that'll scare you. You know, I put it to work. I use it. You got to put this stuff to work.
I mean, but, okay, the 31st or what, whenever you get your check, just pay the rent. As long as you don't pay it after the 10th of the month.
Wait a minute.
You in annex?
I miss my own place. I've had a few places, you know. I miss, being around my family. You know, I miss having my own privacy. You know, my own bathroom, my own living room, my own bedroom. You know, the common stuff that people commonly use. You don't need, you know. But once I come in this room and shut the door, I'm home. In the event that they start closing these places down, if people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in condominiums and stuff, they're gonna be like, where he come from? Where she come from? What? Why is that person in here? Because they're gonna be all over the place. You know, they can call it a flop house, they can call it a bad ass hotel or whatever they want to call it. But as far as I'm concerned, this is where I live.
I recall instances when I had friends growing up and they'd say, oh, your dad owns a hotel. There's something about a hotel that sounds very cool. My friends would say to me, what hotel is it? Thinking that it is one of your A-list hotels. I'd say, no, it's not the Hilton, no, it's not the Drake, you know. And I would try to describe what it was, and I kind of lost them along the way. They didn't understand the nature that, you know, what type of hotel. Hotel maybe is not the most descriptive name that I could apply to SRO housing.
It's not the type of business that you bring your neighbors and friends over to see, and here's my office, and here's my desk clerk, and here are my best tenants. You know, we're not at the Trump Tower here, and we're not going to have cocktails after work.
This is it. After you're here, you're either in a cemetery or in a mission.
Nobody grows up, goes to prep school, college, and then chooses to live here.
But you can't just take a person and throw them in a garbage can. I mean, basically, that's what the city wanted to do. They said, we don't care, get them out of here. It's your responsibility. I said, eventually, the only destiny I see here is a wrecking ball. Because it's going to come, someone's going to come down and knock this block down and build a big high-rise here. And people can walk by and goes, oh yeah, that used to be the Ewing Annex Hotel. Because I've been fighting for these guys too long. I'm not going to just let them come and take it away. So it's not only the right thing for me, it's the right thing for my people upstairs. Because you know what, like I said, after a while they become your family. And you know, money isn't everything.
So
Yeah, that's a tough one, you know? Yeah, Wilson Men's Club, you know? I don't see it having a long history in Uptown at the end of the day, which is sad, but I'd like to see as much energy to close it as to have an alternative.
And do you think that'll happen?
No. Face it, it's politics, it's facts, you know? That's how things work. You know, this town isn't the way it is for no reason. You know, we're not the most segregated city in America for no reason. You see, this didn't happen by accident. This happened because of real estate, because of how real estate has been done in decades of Chicago.
It reminds me of an old saying. It's easy for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. You know that? That's the truth.
You see these people, I just jokingly, I call them the Tokyo All-Stars. You see them, maybe I'm going to the Red Line, or maybe I'm going to the store, you know, on my way to do something, and like you'll see so-and-so stick his hand in the trash, and you're like, oh Christ, I'm in the same building as this guy. Or someone is on the other corner, a Grand and Wabash, looking at girls inappropriately, and then you're like, oh Christ, I'm in the same building as this guy, this sucks. So you see them all around the city doing just slightly off things. So, yeah, kind of sad, but just take a look at this block and take a look at this place and sort of get a kind of a long-term kind of view, you know, from the whole block. Obviously across the street, very nice. It's all very high-end and all done up. And I think you just kind of get the impression, I don't know if anyone's watched Sesame Street in a while, but one of these buildings or one of these things is not like the other. Okay, so you can start down there, building, nice building, the Tokyo Hotel, high-end restaurant, historic pizza place. So, which would be not like the other? I'll take Tokyo Hotel for 200, right there. But it just goes to show that I think as this block begins to change and begins to upgrade, you're going to see more and more pressure happen on the owners of this building to, in fact, make some changes. 16 stories higher, a friend of mine who is probably as equal a smart ass as I am, said that when this hotel does shut down, you're going to have like a line of the regulars, the Tokyo All-Stars, if you will, line up and maybe just start taking headers off the building. Of course, he was being smart alecky, but I mean, I think that's the level of despair and helplessness.
I say eventually the only destiny I see here is a wrecking ball. Because it's going to come, someone's going to come down and knock this block down and build a big high-rise here. And people can walk by and goes, oh yeah, that used to be the Ewing Annex Hotel. Eventually, you know what they say, everything changes. The world's going to change, it has to.
The Madison Street area was very unique, and Halsted Street itself was home to fewer, but a number of notorious and colorful and exotic places.
remember the first time you walked up those stairs into this place? Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, it was kind of creepy coming up here, but it wasn't the same place as it is now. Even some of the police officers that work in the area then forgot the place was here. Before they were here just about every 15 minutes. So you just have to be patient. It's the number one thing. And just keep your cool, don't blow your cool, and everything will be all right. Thanks, man. Most of the time. You're welcome, sir. See that? Yeah. See how he felt when he left? He felt comfortable now. He's gone and enjoyed the rest of his day. You an annex? Yes.
So what was that like before you took over? You used to say that the hallways were kind of...
Oh yeah, when I first moved in here, man, it was people that in the hallways shooting dice, girls in the washrooms turning dates, and some of the new officers that work here, if they ever have to answer the call, they go, oh, I didn't know this place was ever here, because we don't have the police calls that we used to have.
My name is Wayne Cohen. I got started in a pawn shop business with my dad on the west side of Chicago. We had a total of maybe 10 or 15 pawn shops over the last 40 years. And when put the pawn shop here, above here is a Ewing Annex Hotel. So we were here at this location for a while, and then business was decent, so I decided we should, perhaps buy the building. So me and my brother bought the building. We also took over possession of the Ewing Annex Hotel. And that was a real treat, let me tell you. It was basically, these are the homeless, or next step from being homeless people in Chicago. The down and outs, the people that got no place to go. You know what, you're a disgusting fucking...
He says Wayne does, don't be shy.
He thinks he's cute, okay? It's the sissy right there. Yeah.
Okay.
That's him.
Yeah, how much
The guy, he's the only guy I knew that flunked first grade 3 times, so what'd I tell you? What, was that going to show you anything? Hey, your first grade, hey Randy, your 3 first grade teachers say hello.
Okay.
All 3 of them. He's the only guy I know that flunked first grade 3 times.
And look, now he's partnering with you in the whole place.
It's a good thing I was born before he was. He'd be in trouble. Moron. He thinks he's funny.
So does he ever go up there? I always see you up there. Does he ever go up there?
Is he ever go there? Only when he wants to take money out of the cash register. When we first bought this building, me and my brother, there was an old Jewish guy, Alfred Solomon. He was in his 70s, in the 90s, and he lived with his mother, who was in her hundreds. Just the 2 of them. So him and another partner of his who died owned this hotel for 40 years. And they had a guy managing it and running it, and it was running very efficiently. And for what it was a very big need in the south end of Chicago back then. These guys had nowhere to go. I mean, on South Madison Street, or was it West Madison Street, or East Madison, whatever it is, on Madison Street, that's where all the hotels were located at. And it was called Skid Row.
No, I'll finish last. It's riff, it's all right. I really don't care. This red eye, I've been asked 47 years old and going nowhere. I never had made a plan. Should have been dead at 21. I don't even know why I'm still alive. Yeah, diggity damn. Hot diggity damn. I was out here homeless. Oh, God, somebody who can roll their own. Yeah. You know what I mean? Thank God for small favors. Thank you, Lord.
And the people, I mean, we have people, like I said, have been up there for 35 years living in the same room. It's unique. I mean, there's only a few left, and I think I'm sure in the next few years when this block comes down, there'll never be another hotels like this again. It's kind of sad, actually.
Did you have any idea that there were people living in 7x5 by 7 cubes?
When I first came to this pawn shop here, I knew there was a hotel upstairs, but I really didn't go upstairs until I decided I was going to really buy the building. And when I looked at it, I couldn't believe it. People would live in something like this. It's like smaller than a jail cell. I mean, a lot smaller.
They just told me I had murder in my background. Mm-hmm. I've been out of prison 24 years, going 25 years. They said I had to get out of there.
Oh, really?
Or else I've been on the street, so I was forced to come here.
Well, now hold on, though. They told you to get out. Why? Why did they?
Because I have murder in my background.
And they found out?
I did a murder. Now they do fingerprints now When you do your fingerprints come back. Then my fingerprints come back that I had did a murder before, but they charged me with involuntary manslaughter.
Okay.
I did my time, but when my fingerprints came back, they told me I had to get out. And so they moved me in here 3 months ago.
Okay. How do you like it so far?
Me, to be honest, it's not my standard of living. You free me minutes?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah, why not? But that's all right. If you don't
I
want me to
didn't know that.
No,
I don't mind. No, use it. I'm being real.
And where did you live here before you were here?
Nursing home.
Nursing home?
Yeah, I was in nursing home because I was in the hospital, got to the hospital, then with my health conditions and stuff. Like I'm on a breathing machine down there. That's my breathing machine right here.
Yeah.
That's my breathing machine. I'm on buku medicines, about 19 different medicines. I went to the shelter. They told me I couldn't come in there because I'm on too much medication with my heart, my cancer, my COPD, my hepatitis C, and other things from medically wise product things. And then they told me that they accept me here. I'll put it that way.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's the last stop for a lot of guys, or the first step to a second chance to straighten their lives out and what have you. And, thank God there's a place such as this available for them. Yeah, we require that you have proof of income when you move in here. Some people are on unemployment, and some people are on Social Security. Some people on disability, some on veterans pensions. Some have payees or organizations that are payees, and they make sure they get their rent and paid, and make sure they have money to eat with and what have you, and make their doctor's appointments and get their medications and whatever. So that's working pretty good. We have about 5 organizations that handle people's financial affairs, and they do a pretty good job. Come and get them, take them to their doctor's appointments when they need it. In a lot of cases, we have doctors and nurses visiting some of these guys here, make sure that they're taking their meds.
The shirt I got on now, this comes from free donation. I didn't have this when I moved in. This leather coat, I didn't have this. I got a lot of stuff up here.
That's great.
I got my stuff from stand down by me being a vet. When I go to the military thing and stand down, yeah, I got them clothes, but a lot of it. I didn't have this shirt. I didn't have this shirt. I didn't have this long john. I didn't have this army coat. Well, this comes from the army. I didn't have these pants. I didn't have this coat. I came here with this coat.
Yeah.
This coat right here. Most of these clothes hanging up, I got since I've been here.
Now tell me this though, when they moved you out of the nursing home, and you found out that this was going to be home, what did you think at first?
All right, when I first thought about it, I prayed to God and thanked the Lord because I didn't have to be in no shelter and have to get up at no 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and go on the street all day. When I got here, I seen it. And then I had I didn't have an Abraham Lincoln penny, not a penny to my name, and they took me in, and that to me, that was a blessing. Oh yeah, I hang out with the guys in the day room. We socialize. We watch TV. And, we like one big happy family to me. Cause I don't go by the color. Cause while I was in the army, I had a white dude that was my partner, and he saved a lot of people's lives over there now. So
you're a vet?
I'm a vet as well. That's a blessing for me. I don't know what somebody else might say, but for me, it's a blessing.
Now, do you have family here at all?
I don't consider them as family because they don't treat me as family. And that's another story in itself.
Sure.
Well, I ain't gonna lie, for now I'm happy.
Good.
I'm happy for now. I'm happy for now.
Well, I was a suburban kid, and cities were a place where they filmed, crime movies and adventure stories. And so when I traveled to Europe as a young student in college and had that opportunity, I realized they have these places called cities. And I began to fall in love with them, and I realized that people could plan these cities. So I made that choice as a career. And so the irony of the people that are coming back to the big city want this diversity. One of the things when we did this study back in the 1980s, is we looked at the neighborhoods where these buildings were located, and we looked at where the tenants went to eat. And what we found is that the folks, if there were enough of these buildings, rental buildings along with the hotels, they would keep the little cheap eats place alive because they go there routinely. And then the middle class people will only go there once every couple of weeks to get a good deal. But if you get rid of all of this kind of housing, what happens is these smaller ancillary shops disappear.
In this spot, I eat a lot of boiled foods, a lot of cabbage, a lot of greens. I don't eat boiled, I mean fried food. And this is what I be taking for my health. I put this in my coffee. I put this in my cereal, bananas. And this is for men when they get up in age, everything, calf, whatever. Good for your health. Yeah, I'm a health guy. And I eat noodles, I eat a lot of noodles. And in my drawer here, I got a lot of food in my drawer. The canned food, chocolate, peanut butter. Brownies. Seafood, chicken under the seat. So I know how to. My mother taught me how to cook. I like to eat good food. She told me it's gonna be some days women don't want to cook. So you have to learn how to cook. I know how to eat to live, so I'm still here.
Because the people who really support it are the folks who they don't have a big kitchen. They have a hot plate and a refrigerator. They go out to eat at these restaurants. So the other way to think of it is that these resources, these buildings are resources for seeding the sort of fine-grained fabric of commercial activity, of small shops, of vendors. And so the fabric of the city that provides part of the background for that noir feel that people have, that nostalgic feel, disappears. We tend to only think of the homeless guy as the person who's sleeping on the bench or who's begging. But there's all sorts of other very low-income people who are using that space. We just don't notice them as residents of that neighborhood.
You're kind of the gatekeeper. Talk to me about how, through the years, what that's like, about being the gatekeeper of this place.
Well, I feel like I accomplished something, you know, being here, changed the way it used to be here for the better. At least it's safe. You don't have to worry about getting robbed in here when you go to the washroom like before. Oh yeah, well, every day here is inspiration for where I've been to where I am now. A lot of people will look at me like, oh man, you're just a desk clerk at a flea bag hotel. But there's a lot of people out there who wish they would have this job. I started off cleaning the washrooms and mopping the floors around here. Now I manage the place. Try to make it better for everybody that comes along. Hello?
And when we think about the people who own buildings like this, how did that come about? Well, these are business people. And some of the owners inherited the properties. And there's some interesting cases of what I would call social entrepreneurs. Owners who, for various reasons, either by legacy, in other words, inheritance, or through a kind of commitment to a place or to a structure for historical reasons, because the building had certain historical features, will make a commitment to the place. They are good business people, so they care about the bottom line, they care about cash flow, they care about maintenance, they care about operating expenses. But they also care about the place, and many of them care about the people. But for the most part, they're business people, and they understand their clientele, and they're probably not a whole lot different from landlords as a group. They shouldn't be vilified as, sordid members of the underground engaged in nefarious dealing.
You do it, I'll knock your teeth out. Okay, so go downstairs. We're doing an interview here. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's not for you.
You got something better to do?
Go ahead. Say hello to him. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. This is Wade's lover.
Okay, go downstairs. I love you too. Now go downstairs.
Who are you?
Go downstairs.
Yeah, my name is Rourke Edwin Moody. That's ROARKEDWINMOODY. The New Jackson, let's talk about the New Jackson. It's almost obsolete. It's one of the last hotels, SROs, left in Chicago and in this area, where an indigent person or somebody that's down on their luck can come here and get a room for a week for $135 and for a month for $475, and all they need, all I needed, was an ID. And they don't worry about your background and nothing. And it gives you a second chance at least living a normal life, or close to a normal life. 2000, that's when I had to start living in these places. And since 2000, I've noticed that the city and the government has been shutting the places down, just making people move and turning them into condominiums and lofts. And that's good for the people that got the money that can buy them, but for the ones that depend on these type of housing facilities to live, you know, it's not good. A lot of lower income people or people that are homeless that count on places like this to, you know, live through the winter or just to live, you know, the rest of their life in. When they shut them down, then they're back on the streets. When you think about it, the ones that are homeless, everybody that's homeless is not addicted to drugs and are not alcoholics.
Things get busy for you when?
Well, first and the third always then. That's when the money comes in. Here's the occupancy. Anything where you don't see a white card or a card, permanent card, we probably got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 rooms left to rent out. That's not bad for the hotel. We got about 100 rooms, so we're probably about, say 80% occupied, occupancy rate. Today, a lot of them are losing their jobs, losing their homes, you know, and they find themselves on the street, you know, and the streets, you know, for somebody that's not strong-willed, you know, they're not going to make it. The streets don't discriminate. The streets, being homelessness doesn't discriminate. It just, you're out there, you're part of it, and if you can't deal with it, you become extinct.
I'm saying,
okay.
I'm gonna pay the $160 tomorrow for a regular.
Okay, yeah. Put themselves in other person's shoes and stop the people from closing all these places or shutting them down, because we need these places. Well, I'm just letting you know, because that's, you know, people be on me if I don't get that money, you know. They want to come to places like this that they can afford and just have a peaceful night or a week where they don't have to deal with, where they can forget about their problems, you know, or just to do the basic human needs, take a shower, you know, lay their head down on a pillow instead of a concrete slab, you know. Okay. But the normal everyday person would rather have their own home or abode, even if it's just a room, and be able to come and go as they please. This is what these buildings give people. They give them a sense of dignity. They give them a sense of worth. And it's important to be able to, after a hard day, out in the streets, especially if you're just one of the struggling people, lower income, poor people, to be able to come home and close your door and be in their house and say, okay, I'm at home, and be able to relax and just forget your worries. You can start tonight, that's what I'm telling you. This is just your past due, man. Well, you still got to pay $35 for the room tonight if you're not going to pay the $40. And this is where the value of these places come in, because see, they wouldn't be able to afford to go nowhere else. Mm-hmm. And plus they was behind in rent, $240. So I called the owner and he said as long as they got it, went back to them.
Oh, okay.
So now they want a weekly See, they're paying $40 a day. I told them a long time ago, a week is $160 for 2 people. They're better off paying $160. They paid that $40 for about 3 months. They're losing money.
So there's no other option for them if they don't come here.
Yeah, they'd be in the street.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a good thing, you know, that I'm back here too, because the other people wouldn't even call the boss. They'd just told them come back tomorrow, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you got 30, I'll just give it to both of y'all for 30 tonight. And then when you come down tomorrow, you...
Can I just borrow you $4?
Well, how much is that right there? Well, that's the last time you said that, can you owe me 4? I remember that. And you never know. Let's stop it.
No, listen to him.
Okay. Okay. So how much is this?
36. I mean 26.
26, okay, all right. Here, just take this. I'm gonna tell them to let y'all in the room and no. And I'm just play crazy tomorrow when the boss talks. 418. 418. 418. And I don't, you know, sometimes when we're in these positions, even though it's just, you know, desk clerk, we still have to be able to make some decisions on our own. You know, he counts on us to make some, but you know, intelligent decisions that's going to benefit, you know, the hotel as well as the guests.
In this room right here, which is the window right next to my room, you can see it was sprayed.
This place is, you know, it's not the greatest of places, but once you get your room, like I've been in this room for 8 years now, fix it up like as if it was your home, and you live like this is going to be your home, and you keep away things like rats, roaches, and bed bugs. You can make places like this your home. This is what I call my wall of hats. You know, I got caps all over, and I can wear a different cap probably every day for a couple months, you know, because I also have hats in my bags and all that. And if you look at the, you know, the table and stuff, you know, I didn't clean up because you were coming. This is normally, I'm not always just untidy, but I left things the way I normally keep it, and I felt like that was necessary because this is home. I mean, I don't have any roaches, I don't have any rats, and I don't have any bed bugs. I'm proud of it. I got a cat, and my cat helps make sure that nothing else is in here either, because nothing moves or crawls in here but me and the cat. You going up? You going up? Are you going up? Yeah. Okay, I'll buzz you up. Getting mail? Nothing for you, nothing, John. Seriously, no. And I got friends that knew me when I was an editor. I came from a nice family. We was middle class. I had money. I didn't have money. My dad and my mother had money, and we never wanted for anything when I was growing up. So I had opportunities to live, you know, to grow up and live a normal childhood, could get an education. All of us graduated from college. And, you know, I've lived a good life, a normal life. I wouldn't trade it in for nothing, none of my experiences or anything. But I still have people that I know that have known me for years, and they say, well, Moody, why do you live like that? You got a college degree, do something else. Well, I did everything else. This is what I want to do today. This is what I'm about. This is my second career is to be a poet. And, you know, if I become famous while I'm alive, wonderful, and I'm gonna be alive for another 50 years or so. I don't plan on dying no time soon. I got a pact with my man upstairs, and I'm gonna be around. But if I don't be famous while I'm here, I'm gonna be famous when I'm gone. Okay, yeah.
Both my TVs, my flat screen TV gone, my gold watch gone, my
Well, you tell the owner when you see him tomorrow.
My microwave, my bike, all that is not there.
Well, we know who got it. We know who got it. We'll take that up with him tomorrow. Yeah, we'll take it up with him tomorrow.
I know there's some rumor this place is kind of on borrowed time, you know.
It is on borrowed time, yeah.
Well, you know, why is we paying back rent when they took our stuff out the room?
They didn't take it out till a day or so ago. I don't know.
No, he got on them bags 10, 11, 11.
Well,
He moved our stuff.
don't even worry about that, because see, if you're going to start that, I'm just saying you want to get back in the hotel, right?
Right, but I'm just.
Because he said you owed him that much money. And I took a day off of that, and I'm letting you in there tonight.
Okay,
So
I understand that, but just please listen. I understand,
I understand,
what you're saying.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, and I appreciate it.
right. See, calm your woman down, first of all, so y'all can get through the night. Like I say, some people just don't think things out.
Yeah.
You know, I understand he wants to. He's got an idea who took it, and they've been doing this for years, you know. And these hotels, that's what happens when people move out. A lot of times they don't come back.
Is that right?
See, these people had too much stuff. That's why they came back. That's why they paid the money to get in there.
Yeah.
But listen to me, you know, as far as the police and stuff, just talk to the man. If you don't get no satisfaction, then call the police. You know, because calling the police tonight ain't going to do nothing.
My name is Daryl Schlinn, and I'm the former owner and operator of the New Jackson Hotel in Chicago. As a family, we've been in the hotel business from 1946 up until around 2008.
This old elevator, they don't even make parts, it got to be machined.
Is that right?
The parts, this elevator here.
I think I was sort of like the guest that came to dinner and decided to stay. And I stayed for 36 years after that. My father got involved, along with my grandfather, in, I would say, about 1946, 1947. But coming out of the war, my father had a injury that left him blind in one eye. He couldn't pursue his longtime dream of being a dentist. And this field kind of presented an opportunity for him to be kind of an entrepreneur, and he liked the idea. And there was a definite need for that kind of housing, which was proliferating greatly throughout Chicago after the war, where there were so many people coming back from the war, a shortage of housing stock.
There ain't no point in arguing with me about it. The man can give you your money back tomorrow. I'm not in a position to do it.
We're going to get that resolved.
Right, get that resolved. Right, but see, I done already took a day off y'all rent, and y'all even he said take the $240 plus charge y'all 40 more, and I did that. Now y'all listening to this man who ain't got nothing to do with this part of the.
To all different type of people, so you know that's wrong.
I don't know what's wrong. I know what the owner told me to charge you. That's what I'm charging you. That's why I'm telling you to talk to the owner tomorrow. You know, stop listening to him. Just go, you know, do what you got to do tonight. Do what I asked you to do, and take it up with the man tomorrow. I can't do that one. Now you're asking me to do something extra. Just take him up to the room, Ryan. Jesus. He's an idiot.
It's not a business that you plan to get into. I'd like to say trip and stumble and fall, and that's where you're at. A lot of people, it's such a specific and a unique niche. It's unlike any other kind of housing that you could think of. Traditionally, when you think of a landlord, maybe owning an apartment building, you don't operate the place really. You may have somebody that lives on premises to fix things, but you're basically somebody in an office or your home, and you collect the rent check, and as long as your bills are paid and your tenants are paying you, that's the extent of it. The SRO business, it's such a hands-on business, and if you're not prepared to do it that way, meaning be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're not going to survive in the business.
That means don't go in there because there's bug spray and that is dangerous for eyeballs.
Got it.
So the people that have elected to get into that business and specialize in that kind of housing, I think are people that are very comfortable with wanting to be part of the everyday ebb and flow of things. I have to admit that the nature of a lot of the tenants that we house demand that presence. They keep you on your toes. I'm putting it in a delicate way.
Municipalities and local governments don't allow the market to build housing that we currently would consider substandard. That is higher density, smaller room sizes, bathrooms that are shared, accommodations that allow for people to have affordable rents, privacy at much higher densities. And we don't allow them to locate in places where they're even near good public transit or near people that are middle or upper middle class. I mean, cities have always generated social inequality. That's usually not what the purpose of cities are. They generate opportunity and innovation and excitement and interest. And then poor people come to them in order to make a living and to find and build a future. That's the story of cities like Chicago. And you've got to create places for everybody, or that engine that the city represents will sputter. It won't function very well. And that's the illusion of, well, we just can't have poor people living among us. Well, no, you're going to always have poor people living among us as long as the city is doing its job.
And so right now the heat's not on, so I had to go out and purchase a little portable heater. Otherwise I wouldn't even be able to be in here. It's probably about 15 degrees in there earlier this morning when I woke up.
When did you start to notice?
Notice what?
The temperature, it was getting cold?
Oh, I noticed the temperature when I got off work last night and came in here. It was freezing last night. This is like Antarctica, this room here, especially with all the windows. And the wind's coming from every angle. You know, this time of year it gets brutally cold. Brutal. So it's like winter, you know, you have to sleep in your clothes and everything, an extra blanket, an extra comforter and all that. And so I knew that I wasn't going to go through the weekend like this. And I know that I just got a feeling the heat won't be turned on for a while. So I know the way to, you know, make it livable is to, you know, just, you know, seal the windows. Well, the cat likes to look out the windows, so I used to seal all 5 of them, but I don't do them like that. Really, he's got a little say-so now, so that's his favorite window, as you can see. He looks out that window. I leave that window open for him and that window open for him, and I seal these other 3. That way he can look out on Halsted or Jackson. Yeah, he got his little preference. I can't just seal them all. I used to seal all 5 of them. With the situation going on now with the fact that the hotel will be closing, that's going to cause a little more drama. It had an illustrious history. It's over 100 years old, so it should be a landmark if it hasn't been designated one. It's been this one family owned it forever. Morton, his son Darrell, and then they had an opportunity to sell it, I guess. And there were so many years of owning it, they did. It's been on a decline ever since. You know, so it's just sad that a building with this much history would have to, you know, from the rise to the fall of the New Jackson, I guess.
You know, there was a guy that lived here. He went to a nursing home a few months ago, but he lived here since the 1950s. Since the 50s. Can you imagine? Since the Eisenhower administration. It wasn't a Hotel Tokyo then, but it is as it was. Nobody grows up, goes to prep school, college, and then chooses to live here. I love when people come in here and say, well, are you on the internet? Meaning, like, do we have information about the hotel on the internet? We're not even under hotels in the yellow pages. Let me just put it that way. But I see people who live here out and about in the city, and maybe there'll be a guy, an older guy, turning around and around with a hood over his head. He's here at the Tokyo. There's another guy. I was over by the Archdiocese of Chicago offices, and there was a guy checking out the garbage can. He lives here. There's people who you see in the city that are like, oh yeah, that's the guy at the Tokyo. There's a guy who wears a suit and sneakers. The suit is 2 sizes too big. He wears sneakers. He wears the same thing whether it's cold or hot, summer or winter. You see him walking around, he lives here. So a lot of the characters that you see out on the street live here.
Tell me about the Hotel Tokyo and what brought you here originally.
My situation in life is that I'm 70 now, and about 20 years ago, things happened in my life that brought me to this hotel. Most of the homeless out there can't even afford to even stay in this place, and this is cheap here, you know. You have people here that are on Social Security. I'm on Social Security. We have limited means, and so we just want to lead our lives quietly for our various reasons. Other people here that are without family, but they are younger, but they are unable. They usually they're on some kind of stipend from the state, and they find this place affordable.
The person who lives here is not the average person. They're not the common man who lives at the Tokyo Hotel or the common woman. It's just not so. Again, no one really necessarily chooses to live here. Sometimes you just have, I mean, I shouldn't say you have to. I mean, no one's forcing a gun in your head to come here.
What is one of the big differences between the two owners? You said Daryl would walk through and he was present.
He was more hands-on and people more personable with his guests. He actually knew the guests. He spent time with them. You know, some of the ones that had the smaller checks, lower income, that needed, he would loan them money, you know, until to help them get back to the next check came. The new owner and his manager are just all business. It's about money, the dollars. That's all they wanted, the money. If you pay the rent, you're cool. If you don't pay the rent, it's like, okay, we got to get rid of them. You know, they're deadbeats. Whereas the other owner, you could sit down and actually talk to him and come up with a plan or some type of arrangement, make an arrangement where you could pay him and you wouldn't have to worry. Furthest most thing from your mind was you'd be getting evicted. See, with these guys, it's the first and foremost thing that you think about is, if I miss the rent, will I still be able to get my room?
People who I know will ask me, hey, so Kev, like, where do you live? And I'm like, I live down by Grand. Oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just, you know, like, whereabouts? Well, Grandin, Ohio, you know, right by State. Oh, wow. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, and whatever. And then I quickly just, you know, get off that. You know, so people assume if you live in River North that, you know, you might, you know, have a little income to spare and enjoy life with. So this is definitely an anomaly, living at the Hotel Tokyo. You know, I think in the 80s, everybody decried the rise of like the yuppie class. They're gentrifying the neighborhood, and now we can't live here anymore. You know, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's good to, you know, pump up devalue property values and like improve the neighborhood. I mean, just because, you know, it was affordable by some didn't make it, you know, a better neighborhood than it is today. But however, right here on Ohio Street, 19 East Ohio Street, where the Hotel Tokyo is, between Wabash and State, I mean, I couldn't live here in this neighborhood without living here. I think in the past, maybe you had a much more, I mean, there was much more of a strata, much more of an income diversity. It certainly isn't that now.
Give me an up-to-date what happened here with the status of the New Jackson. Just kind of give me the running tally. What's going on?
I thought everything was fine. During the summer, we were working normal shifts. We had our 3 shifts. It was normal. Then one day, the manager came in and said, we're going to switch to 2 shifts. 7 o'clock to 3 o'clock shift would be the first shift, and 3 to 11 would be the second shift. And I told him, I don't think that'll work because, you know, it's a hotel. It's supposed to be open 24/7. And he said, well, if it don't work, then we'll go back to the other way. After that, he said, meanwhile, we're going to stop renting the rooms on a weekly basis and just rent them on a monthly basis. And the daily rooms, as the people move out, we're going to seal them shut. And we'll just rent the suites and the rooms with the bathrooms and TVs. And then after a while, he stopped renting those rooms. By summer's end, it was well known that, you know, we were down to 2 shifts, and the hotel, the rumors had started spreading then that the hotel was shutting down. He was selling the hotel. And the manager, Tim, he came around with notices and handed them out to everybody that was residing here, and said that the hotel would be shutting down in a couple months. And they wanted everybody to start looking for housing, a place to live. And they said, hopefully by the end of October, you know, there wouldn't be nobody left in here.
I think there's distinct groups here. For example, there's the old timers, the old guys. You know, I was raised by grandparents. You know, I always respect the elders. I don't really necessarily respect. It's not that I don't respect them. I'm not in awe. I mean, obviously there's something wrong if you're here. You know, and I don't mean that harshly. But there are people who are here, who I know who have families, because they send them letters and packages. But I mean, they ought to be in nursing homes. You know, this is not a substitute for it shouldn't be. I don't know what the care is in nursing homes. I mean, I'm not familiar with that scene, that industry. But you know, there are people who I don't think should be here because they're just too. I mean, they need more care. You know, there are people who die here.
Oh yeah, we have people die.
Died yesterday or today.
Who? Another one?
Yeah.
Which one? The same guy we knew, right?
No, another guy.
Another guy died? The one guy was up there for 30 years, he just died.
He was there for a while too. Black guy.
Really?
Yeah.
When did he die?
Yesterday or today.
How old? Which one?
I don't remember. He just showed me a picture of him. Lived there like
What room was he in? And sometimes that place could be dangerous upstairs. I don't know if you ever heard. One guy got killed there, murdered about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. One guy was knocking on his door, his radio was up. He says, "Turn your radio down." He says, "No, make me." So the guy goes in his room with a butcher knife, goes in his room and shoves it right in his heart and kills him. So I guess the radio was a little too loud for him.
I haven't been to a meeting yet, but I've heard the meetings are very provocative.
I think like this here, you know, the man been making a whole lot of money off, you know, the area and environment that they're moving from, you know what I'm saying? It's to his benefit. So, you know, and then you got people up in there that's elderly that need, you know, they need help.
The first part of the meeting with the alderman last night, the building is being sold. So you missed that part. I got I got it from somebody who has this district. Greektown is part of their district. So you missed that part. It's not sold yet. But he has a buyer. He is not going to be in operation of this building.
Oh,
it looks like the building is changing ownership as soon as everybody leaves. As soon as he gets everyone to leave.
Exactly.
So the thing with him buying, remodeling the thing.
That's the person that is the new overtaker is trying to rehab the building.
We're not familiar with this person.
First of all, I think a lot of these people have never been into a debate or participated in a debate or what they call a town hall type meeting environment. So when somebody speaks, if they don't want to hear it, they're cursing them out, telling them, shut up, and you know, there's no respect for the other person on the floor, and then you got people speaking about other people, and hopefully we can get some type of order about that. You know, the organizers should have been on top of that. They should have a sergeant at arms that controls that. But they say last meeting there was people literally taking drinks out of wine bottles and whiskey bottles during the meeting and stuff. And I was telling them, well, that can't go on this week. You gotta try to have a when you set it up, let them know a few rules that we're gonna adhere to this week.
But you know, it's people that feel our needs most of all. You know what I'm saying? And realize that these are inhumane conditions that we're living in. You know what I'm saying? And we should be treated better than dogs. When the people across the street got dogs living better than us. And then this man is putting elderly people on the street and making them hurt. And they're running for their lives in 6 steaks of beans, man. And we're younger than them and seeing this and not doing anything about it. You know, we're indignified by this here. You know, this movement that he's making against us.
Chicago is notorious. I mean, building inspectors, for example, don't just inspect buildings; they're like tools of the administration. I mean, if someone has their eyes on a particular property, you know, building inspectors go in and try to find something so incredibly wrong that it can't be fixed and has to be shut down. They'll go to police department, where I think we're in the 18th district, and the police department, you know, they'll look at the logs. All right, how many calls have we had at 19 East Ohio Street? We've had 3 in a week over the past month. We've had 18 calls. What's going on?
The city, well, first of all, the city is a city. Let me explain to them. They tried to take my property about 15 years ago through eminent domain. I mean, the property values were going sky high, and we're in a very nice part of the South Loop of Chicago. The property values are skyrocketed over here over the last few years. The city, every 5 minutes, give me violations. Fix this, fix that, fix this. I just fixed this 2 weeks ago. Okay, you did this wrong. Now you got to do this again. They wanted to take my property, knock it down, give me nothing for it. Okay, literally. They want to give me half what I paid for it 20 years earlier, and give it to one of the developers to build a big fancy building here. So I mean, and I have my business here. I have the hotel here. I have 250 guys up there I'm responsible for. I mean, you know, you got to move these guys. You can't just throw them in the street.
You know, because some people don't want anybody to know they're here because they're ashamed of being in this environment. They're ashamed of it, you know. But what would be even more shocking, you in the corner in the alley, sleeping in this kind of weather. You under whacker, like I was. Some people are just take it for granted that, yeah, this is where I'm at. This ain't nothing. But in the blink of an eye, you could be out of this room and in the street. And once you're out there, you'll be like, man, I still wish I was back in that hotel. I wish I was back in that hotel. And then, even been in this environment, that means you ain't out there trying to figure out who to rob, who car to break in, how I'm gonna get me some more money. Some people wish they was up in this what they call free bag hotel. Some people wish they was in here.
Did you ever envision yourself doing this?
Well, not with the hotel. I mean, basically, my main business was the pawn shop. But as I got started with it, yeah, you know, I don't mind it. I like it. The only problem, I'll be honest, with the city, working with the city, to go through all the loopholes with them is sickening. Sickening. They don't have no compassion for anybody, okay?
And this guy here, Percy, he's been here, I guess, about 10 years. And he's a veteran, and he doesn't know where he's going. And he didn't pay his rent this month. I guess you got some that are taking a stand, well, we're going to have to move, we're not going to pay the rent, we're going to save as much money as we can, so when the time comes, they'll be able to afford to go, you know. Which makes a lot of sense.
You've been here for 10 years. This has been your spot. What are you thinking right now?
I'm a little disappointed that I had to leave. I do like Greektown. I like the neighborhood, but you know what? I'm looking forward to moving north too. I like the north side of the city too. So when I move, I'm gonna move north and somewhere on the north side. And after having the surgery and stuff, my upcoming surgery, I won't be going nowhere for 2 to 3 months, 4 months maybe, because it's gonna take that long for my body to get strong again.
I got my own little stuff. This is to kill bed bugs, and I get this at Ace Hardware. This costs $20 a bottle. You know, I don't think I should have to do that. You know, I miss my own place. I've had a few places. You know, being around my family, having my own privacy, my own living room, my own bedroom. You know, the common stuff that people commonly use. You don't need, but once I come in this room and shut the door, I'm home. In the event that they start closing these places down, if people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in condominiums and stuff, they're gonna be like, where he come from? Where she come from? Why is that person in here? Because they're gonna be all over the place. They can call it a flop house, they can call it a bad bag ass hotel or whatever they want to call it. But as far as I'm concerned, this is where I live.
Okay, pretty neat room.
Oh, good.
They almost consider this to still be a step away from homelessness. But you're paying for the convenience of being there. No light bill, no gas bill, no electric bill, no nothing. You don't even have to buy your own toilet paper.
My biggest obstacle right now is that I'm in less than a week. In fact, 6 days from today, I'll be having open heart surgery. I woke up one day and couldn't breathe. But I was on my way to the VA hospital for my PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a condition I acquired from being in combat in Vietnam. And so I was going for a regular routine checkup there, and on the way there, I took the blue line and got off at the medical center to stop for it and took 5 steps and couldn't breathe. Literally couldn't breathe, so I fell to my knees, and while I was gasping for air, and it was like 8 in the morning, and people walking past me, looking at me, pointing at me, thinking I was high or drunk, I don't know, but they was like, what's wrong with him, what's wrong with him? And I was sweating profusely. At that time, I was having congestive heart failure and didn't even know it. You know? So it took me about an hour to get up the ramp, which is literally like a 2-block walk from the ramp to the street, before I could get to the top of the ramp. And at this particular time, I didn't have my cell phone with me. I left it at the house. So I couldn't make no phone calls, and I couldn't hardly talk to anybody. I was gasping for air. But when I finally got to the top of the ramp, this one lady stopped and asked me what was all right, and I, between gasping for air and breath, I told her I couldn't breathe and I was trying to get to the VA. Kind of flagged down this bus, Damon bus, which was going right by the VA. And the bus driver waited. It took me 15 minutes across the street to get to the bus, and these people on their way to work that was on the bus, but the bus driver was kind enough to wait. And then he got me on the bus and asked me what was wrong. I explained to him, and he told everybody on the bus that the next stop was the emergency room at the VA, and took me straight to the VA. And once I got in there, I was trying to make my other appointment. They saw me and they took me straight to the emergency room. And once I got in the emergency room, I was there, and they ran some tests and told me I had congestive heart failure, and I ended up in the hospital for 7 days. That time they ran all kinds of tests on this. You know, I had to have an open heart surgery. I had to have a valve replaced. I have a valve that's not functioning properly. And I have an artery that was torn as a result of all the pressure, so they had to repair that artery. But I don't have cancer. I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. So it's a lot of things I don't have as a result too, you know, so it's a good thing.
I call them the talk-a-lots. There are people who, if you say hi to them, you better pull up a chair because you're going to be there for 4 hours. All of a sudden, they'll be talking to you about, oh, God, I mean, just spin the dial.
It wasn't like in New York. I was going, to tell you the truth, I was going broke in New York. I mean, I was living there. The more money I made, the more I spent. And I just couldn't make any headway there. Then I said, God, I got to get out of this place.
There are 18 listings here. These are room numbers right here. Now, of these 18 listings, these are all long-term, and so you're talking about 18 out of roughly 35 to 40. So conservatively and easily, 45% of the people are way behind. So you have the time that they last paid. Let's just take number one. The time that they last paid, August 5th, 08, the amount they paid, which is the monthly, $100 a week, $400 a month. And this is the last time, this is their payment. This is the time of their stay here that they paid for. So, for example, this gentleman who we just heard from is up to April 1st, 03. So to put that in perspective, we had just now invaded Iraq. So he's paid up to the beginning of the Iraq invasion. Anyway, from 3/1/03 to 4/1/03. His grand total, he is behind $23,600. If you go all the way down this list informally, it's just going to be slightly over $70,000 if you add all this up. And I just did it very quickly, so I don't, my accuracy will be off, but it is just over $70,000. So that's amazing. A lot can be done with $70,000. $70,000 can pay a lot of bills here. It can pay a lot of taxes in this highly taxed city.
So I stayed, and then intermittently I would leave Chicago. I lived in Pittsburgh, came back. Lived in Miami, came back. Lived in Atlanta, came back. Lived in Davenport, came back. I mean, I used Chicago for several years. I was, kind of always coming back to Chicago. And it was like a town. It was just a bloated country town. And I says, man, I like this.
When we look at these old hotels, do we think of them as obsolete sort of places? Can they still function and provide adequate residential places for people who are at risk of going homeless or very poor or working poor? Well, I really think we can. The problem is that broader society still believes the stereotypes that I believed when I first got involved. They think the hotels are part of the problem, partly because they don't look attractive and their owners have, on the whole, not invested in additional ornamentation or making them look beautiful, primarily because their clientele, they want to keep it inexpensive and accessible to their clientele. The way to think of the building's viability is what is the core of their economic success. And it's, at one level, quite simple. It's the relationship between location and density. These buildings, when you look at where they were located, the ones that have disappeared, is they've been in very valuable locations, meaning very accessible to public transit, to urban institutions.
Serious about life. I'm serious about this surgery, and I know it's a serious surgery. But seriously, what I would like people to say one day is like when they go through Oak Park, they say, William, I think it's Faulkner, one of them great writers, he used to live here. I want to know when they come through Greektown, say, you know, Rourke Moody used to be a poet, he used to live right there. You know. Now that's something I would like to, for people to say, you know, that the great 21st century poet, you know, used to live there and stayed there for 10 years, you know.
You know, the thing that always impressed me about Rourke, being a big, gentle guy, and at first, when I hired him, I didn't know if it was going to work out well. Because at first I thought he was a little too sensitive and too sometimes enmeshed in other people's business.
So, Rick, you're back.
The heart and soul of this business is like any other business. It's providing a service for somebody. And being a landlord unto itself doesn't necessarily have to be this type of a landlord, I should say. This is a unique niche, a very specialized type of housing and clientele and landlording skills, so to speak. And in one way, it's not for the faint of heart, because again, say to yourself going in, you're going to deal with the brick and mortar of a building, some plumbing issues, an electrical issue, bookkeeping issue. But then when it goes above and beyond that, and you have to get into the people issues, that's where it becomes somewhat problematic.
Yeah. One with the river.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote a sonnet about that picture there.
This one?
Called The River. And then I wrote a sonnet about that tree there.
Do you remember that day when you came, when you got back to home from Vietnam? What was that? Do you recall that at all? Or?
Yeah, I recall it. The day before, the plane actually stopped in San Francisco, I think, or Fort. It was somewhere in California. And there was hippies and yippies waiting outside the plane, and as we got to debark the plane, they were bombarding us with bags of dog shit, calling us baby killers and, you know, not communists, but baby killers. And little did they know that everybody was hitting with these bags of dog shit and feces, dog feces and stuff, had been in combat shooting at people for a year and were getting shot at for a year. And it took all the restraint we had not to even, you know, lash back at them. And some of us was able to bring weapons back with us, like handguns, 38s. I had a 45. Some of my friends had 38s, and you know, we had people with, you know, AK-47, you know, souvenirs from being over there. But we all just maintained our composure. Nobody retaliated. And basically, all I wanted to do was get back to my house. And I wrote it's not a song. I wrote a poem, a real dark poem, powerful poem called Homecoming, about that very incident. So yeah, I remember the day before, and then I remember the day I got home. I got home to my house. This is funny too. And my dad was there. You know, his mom, well, not my mom, his wife, my stepmother. And I just entered the house, and he had, while I was gone, had become a cop. He wasn't a cop at first when I went, but he's a cop when I came back. And he had learned self-defense, and he wanted to take me out in the backyard and try to his self-defense on me. You know? So I was like, well, Dad, I don't feel like it. I just came back, you know. I don't think I want to play that game, you know. And my mom was like a cheerleader, like, go, Lord, go, Lord, go, go, Lord, go. And I was like, I don't believe it. So what I did, I just turned around, left his house, and called my younger brother. Called him and said, man, I can't stay with Dad. He want to try to karate him. He said, oh, I should have warned you, man. He tried to. He said, come on over here. You can stay over here a couple of days. We'll find you somewhere. So that was my first day back in the city. Fresh out the thing before in San Francisco, and then get home and the old man wants to, come on out in the backyard, let me show you what they taught me, you know. He was dead serious too. And I was like, no, that's all right, Dad. I don't think I'm up for them games, you know. I just got back, I'm trying to relax.
There's no training programs for this particular job. I mean, you just deal with different people. If you're from Chicago and you come in here at 2:30 in the morning and you don't have any luggage, you know, still having a war in my head, yeah. 40 years of nightmares and sleepless nights. Yeah, so it's my little 40-year war, you know, that I'm still fighting. This was probably, I've been here 10 years. The best 10 years I've had of sleep in the last 40 years has been right here in this hotel for some reason. This room, like I said, I get a little solace here. You know, it's just good for my creativity, and it's also good for my sleep, you know, and my rest, so. But yeah, I mean, you pretty much know, and I mean, it's better to walk up to them. For example, if someone comes in the door, I mean, I could be out into the first set of double doors by, by the time they get there. And I think that's important, not to meet them here, but to meet them there, to go forward, to be on the offense. And I mean, listen, if push comes to shove, there's still, we got all kinds of stuff back here. But again, I've never had to do this ever before.
You know what? I'm not as young as I used to be. And I mean, if they do the right thing, and obviously if the city comes and tries to steal it again, I'm going to fight them like they've never been fought before. But if they would do the right thing, I mean, if they would find places for these people to live and compensate me right, I would do it. That's progress. If they come here and say, okay, we're going to give you nothing for your property and get rid of these bums, send them on their way, I'll fight them. If they do the right thing, they find places for these people, and I know that they're going to be okay, then that would be a different story. That would be the only way I would let it happen. Because I've been fighting for these guys too long. I'm not going to just let them come and take it away.
I sold the property. I kept a few mementos of the building and the business that I later had framed, and I didn't really have much in the way of old artifacts. I had a lot of paperwork and a lot of pictures and memories, but nothing that was old and significant. This was an old business card from the hotel. I'm not sure of the year, but because of the phone number that's on it, I know it has to be pretty old because of the number of digits that are for the phone number. A key paddle from the early 1900s with the name of the hotel, and back in those days, and even more recently, because this was a newer paddle that we used in later years, and both paddles would say, unlike today when you have a paddle from a hotel, it doesn't identify the name of the hotel necessarily with the room number, 24-hour security, daily maid service, and clean rooms.
I guess I was thinking about the surgery when I wrote this, the open heart surgery. So a lot of questions you asked me about the open heart surgery, the answers are probably right here that I didn't tell you directly. Okay. While staring deeply into my soul's eyes, I see evidence of super strength. I also recognize signs of soft faith.
All right,
Still the question remains.
All right, good luck to you, huh?
Do I trust God?
We'll see, I'll be in touch.
Okay. I just want to see what happens after being here and loving this area, and then getting used to this place, and then having to relocate to see if that'll be a better environment, or if my life will improve, and my writing will even improve. If it might be a good thing. Sometimes change is for the better, not for the worse. A change is not always a bad thing. It's usually a good thing if you're willing to change. That's the thing. You gotta go with the J. You know, so I'm gonna go with it and see what happens.
Am I afraid of the silence ahead? Will my soul take a leave of absence? Where pray tell, will that leave me in this life? Well, there's gonna be some bigger, better things coming up. And all I can do is just tell the readers to just hang in there. I'll be back on the set in a little bit, and you know, I plan to, you know, be as diligent with my poetry and as truthful and as honest as I can be, and I'll continue to write and reach people and share my innermost spirits and feelings and thoughts. So just hang in there. You know, Moody's back. That's it. Alas, what sins will encircle my soul? Will they trump the few good deeds once given? Is the truth so painful I look away? Is the end of days this last winter? Will the frost of time cut off my last breath? Should I make peace with my Lord Jesus Christ while staring deeply into my soul's eyes? Yeah.
My name is Lawrence Moody, Larry. I'm the brother of Rourke Moody. When I moved away, I forget how long it took, but maybe a year or two, all of a sudden we kind of lost track of each other. He lost my phone number, and he ended up getting separated and divorced from his wife, his second wife. So I had no way to get in touch with him, and he had no way to get in touch with me. And I would still come up here routinely for work. At the time, I guess he was living at the Y on 8th and Madison, Halston Madison, something like that. So I went and hung out with him one day while he was there, and then they ended up closing that down. Once again, we lost contact with each other. Or, no, that would have been too early. It must have been for a family reunion. And I was like, I need to go find my brother. So I knew from talking to my father that he worked downtown near the old library. Stay down here until I run into him. And I got to about either Monroe or Madison and State, and that's when I spotted him. I spotted him and I said, "You old African, I found you."
And they have been abusing the eminent domain law to force people out, to allow developers to come in and buy the property for $1, you know, so that it's legal on paper, and then they can put up multi-million-dollar, you know, developments and everything. And so these are the people. Daley's only interested in one thing: putting Chicago on the international map.
You got vets here, you got elderly here, you got people with mental issues. You know, this place just don't close everybody out. I got to give them that. I mean, sometimes they get kind of arrogant, like they better than you. Some of them, not all of them. Chicago Coalition for the Homeless, they come back here and talk to us. They come back here and, you know, see what kind of condition we're in. Even being in this building, they consider you homeless. I was at the VA and they said, I said, I got some place to stay. They said, no, you homeless. What do you mean I'm homeless? I got some place to stay. I said, no, where you at, you're homeless. It's a struggle on a day-to-day basis, I assure you. And other than that, everything just where it be. And other than that, everything just where it be. You know? I done put in the red building down on Michigan, the CNA Plaza place. They got a Chicago housing authority where you get a Section 8. I'm on the list. The vets want to put me certain places, but I drink beer. You know, and most of the places they're talking about is total recovery. I don't want to be in a building with people trying to recover and I'm blowing beer all in their face. And like I say, since the last time you've been here, a few people have died from the stress, I guess. I don't know what they died from, you know, but they dead and gone. And I'm not saying everybody come here to die. I'm not gonna say people I'm not gonna say people come here to, you know, just this is where they're gonna end up at until it's all over. I done seen a lot of people come in here and leave. I don't know how many neighbors I done had. Eddie next door, he been here longer than me, and he treated me right when I got here. You know, like I got extra stuff in my little bag of stuff up there, like toothpaste, comb, brushes, rags, you know, just in case somebody come here and think, man, this is it. You know, no, this ain't it. Get yourself together, pick yourself up. I mean, I ain't got to carry you, but I'll help you.
They're showing a movie on the side of the bank. Oh, I'm in love with all creation and the warmth of the hood of the car in the dark. Oh, I feel like an angel in waiting, where time is alive in the dark of your face, in the battles we've won, lost or misplaced, in the promise of heaven and the hold of its gates. Oh, I can just see it now, but how, my love, will we escape? Oh, how, my love, will we escape? I've been asked now to speak a few words to the crowd. Oh, I could be sick any moment. There's a crack in the porcelain cup of the sky. I broke it and wish I could own it. And all that leaks through where we've driven the nail to hang here suspended, so human and frail, from atop of this jerry-rigged circus in jail that's folding a tent on us now. Oh, but how, my love, will we escape? Oh, how, my